Hello and welcome to our studios in Walsingham. I'm Pascal Mary Rakovich, and today we have with us Father David and Sister Sebastian. Father David, you're a parish priest near Birmingham.
That's right. I'm at St Peter's in Bloxwich in central England, and I've been there about nearly 3 years, and that's where I first met Sister Sebastian. She's a member of the Immaculate Heart of Mary Sisters, and they originally founded in Nigeria, and they came to England just over 20 years ago. And we've been working together since then.
Sister, tell us, introduce yourself.
Sister Sebastian, I've been in England for 16 years, and after my profession in 2002, and at the moment I'm working as the mission coordinator of the congregation here in Europe.
Can you tell us a little bit about your congregation? It was founded in 1937?
Yeah.
In Nigeria?
Yeah, in Nigeria, yes. By a late Irish Bishop Charles Henry when he was on mission there. Actually, this Irishman was a very devout priest of CSSP congregation. During his stay in Nigeria, he had this great passion for women, upliftment of women, education of young people, and then teaching catechism and preparing couples for marriages. So he had great passion for the poor and the great privilege. And this took effect when he went on pilgrimage in Lourdes in 1937, and he had this inspiration from Our Lady to found an indigenous congregation at that time who will help him to bring the compassion of Jesus to the life of the poor and the marginalized of the society at that time. So that led him to founding that congregation. So that's how it got started. And
so what is the heart of your charism?
Compassion in the spirit of humility, because our Father Founder had this great compassion for the poor. And during that time, when women in Nigeria were so much marginalized, he used to come over to Ireland to beg for funds in order to support those women, the widows, and then have a women empowerment program for them, and send youths to school and have catechetical centers where he helped to train young people. So that compassion in him made him to found an indigenous congregation ourselves to help him to bring this upliftment of women and go deeper into compassion to show the love of Christ.
And so little by little the congregation grew. There were vocations in Nigeria?
Yes, definitely. We have over 1,000 sisters at the moment.
Gosh.
And we have about 67 in Requiem. And then we work in 4 continents in the world. We are in the United States, in Europe, in Africa, and in the Asia, some part of Asia. The main work of our congregation in all our apostolate centers on the compassion, which is the heart of our foundation. So all the work we do, all our mission in this area is centered on mission, on compassion in the spirit of humility. So we are in about 30 countries at the moment.
Okay. And Father, the sisters are in your parish now. So how are you connected to the sisters?
The parish priest, Father Marcus Stock, who is now Bishop of Leeds, when he first went to the parish, he wanted to have a religious congregation to help with the mission of the church in St Peter's in Bloxwich. And he approached the missionaries, the Immaculate Heart of Mary Sisters, and he agreed to come over. And so that was their first mission in England to come to St Peter's in Bloxwich. And we celebrated the anniversary of them coming here just the previous year.
Sisters, do you have fathers in your community, or do you depend on the parish priest where you go and establish a congregation?
We don't have a kind of fathers to our congregation, although initially our founder founded a congregation called St. Peter Clavier at that time, congregation, but after 5 years, they fed up. But at the moment, we depend on the support of the priest where we are. And our major work, the pastoral work within the parish, connects us to many priests, which is one of the,
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Father David is your chaplain for your convent, or?
I'm the chaplain for the convent in St. Peter's Blocks, which
Yes.
they also have a convent in at Our Lady of Lourdes in Yardley Wood in Birmingham, and that's where Sister is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we have other communities in Archdiocese of Birmingham, Brentwood Diocese, Liverpool, Dundee, also there. So, but what connects us with Father actually was because we are in the parish, as the parish sisters, and Father has been very great support towards our sisters working in the parish. And as a result, because of the high demand of our mission work, we decided to open our philanthropic development office, which is basically an office meant to raise funds in order to sustain missions. Mm-hmm. And philanthropy in its terms means love for humanity.
Yes.
You extend your hands to help people with love and sacrifice as well. So Father was made the chaplain of that fundraising to help us, direct us spiritually, how to get funds raised in order to sustain our mission for future.
Okay, so Sister, you have a role as Director of Missions in Europe, but you're also working in this philanthropic office in order to help raise funds to support the missions.
Yeah.
Okay, and what mission do you have here in England?
We have pastoral mission,
Yes.
and we work in the parishes and also in the hospitals. We have a soup kitchen mission in Stoke-on-Trent, which is basically for the homeless. So every week we feed about between 70 and 80 homeless every week, which is a project we really need to expand because our Father found a great passion for people like that. So our congregation cherished that project a lot because that's kind of fulfilling the mind of our founder.
And you have sisters also working in hospitals. So you have sisters who are qualified nurses?
Yes, we have in different nurses, doctors, biomedical scientists, lab technicians.
Okay. So a young woman could enter your congregation already a nurse, or could she enter and train as a nurse within the community?
Either way.
Okay.
You can enter either way. And again, being open to the decision and the rule of their life, that the congregation have the paramount authority to decide what you, just like myself, I wanted to study catechesis. That was my choice, but the congregation says, no, we want you to study accountancy. So that's in obedience.
Yes.
I took on that career, yeah.
Okay.
So it should be able to be open to give up the will, which is, part of what you offer your vocation. Give your will and do the will of some other person for the sake of your vocation, yes.
It's interesting how we had this Irish missionary going to Africa and founding this congregation, and now we have missionaries from Africa coming to our countries because there is mission work to be done. Father, can you tell us a little bit about that, witnessing the sisters' lives in your parish?
But I think it's not just the sisters. I think the world has changed since Archbishop Hiri went to Nigeria over 75 years ago. People are moving around much more. And so we're seeing more cultures coming together and a greater diversity. And the way in which I find in our parish that we benefit from not only the Nigerians being there, but there's Chinese, there's Poles, there's Slovenians, and we're very diverse within the church itself. Is that we see a sharing of values that perhaps some people don't see. And one value that I see that is brought about by the sisters is one of community, when they live in a common life and also they live a life where they share. This is something that I think in our part of the world we don't have as much as maybe we had in the past. Our society is not as bound together in terms of sharing and communal life. And I think that's a great witness for the purpose of the church's existence, to bring people into communion and into unity.
What do you see as being the most important mission of the church today?
I think beforehand we spoke about it, so it's a vast question, but perhaps the simple word to express the mission of the church is one of communion, to be united. Jesus coming into the world, to see him is to see the Father, and to see the Father is to see God's love, and God's love brings us into union. So that's the mission of the church, to be in communion. So that's how I would describe it.
And maybe that ties in exactly with the sisters and their mission, this mission of compassion, and therefore reaching out to people and letting them know they're not alone.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. You see, when you bring the love of Christ to somebody's life, you changes their life. And that's when you turn the world upside down for the person. The compassion of Jesus brings this satisfaction and the feeling of love by God expressed through human being to people. And from, as Father David rightly says, the communion, with people, that's mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for example, when Jesus cures the leper is no longer outside of society. They're able to go to the well, they're able to go and eat with their families and friends, which they wouldn't have been able to do before. So this is a sign of the fullness of life, to be in union, to have a common life, to have a shared life.
Yes, yes.
So this is the mission of the church. It will be different. It's not necessarily curing leprosy, but it's to bring people together and to live together, which is the desire of God. The original intention is that we live in union with God and each other.
There's a more common idea that Africa would be the third world, and that in Europe, in America, we're the first world. But how does this tie in with mission? The mission has changed now.
Well, one of the things that we had this year, which involved the sisters, not necessarily Sister Sebastian, but the Immaculate Heart of Mary sisters in our own parish, is that we had a cultural day. And this was to bring all of the different nationalities together, because we have our indigenous English, which are probably more elderly than the new people who are coming into the parish, but we have people from Nigeria and Tanzania, from China, from Poland, from Slovenia. And it was a great surprise of how many nationalities were in the parish. And I was explaining at the time that the word culture originally comes from the word agriculture, which is to bring to life. And I see the way in which the different peoples are coming to this country, and also within the church itself, in our parishes, is a bringing about of life, the fullness of life. And this is something that we see the church is meant to be bringing in part of its mission around the world, and also in our own countries. The Catholic Church originally means universal. It's for all people at all times, in all places. And we certainly see that when we have people from different countries with their Christian faith, bringing their own values and the way of expression here, and it brings us to life as well.
Yes. And they're also filling our churches, perhaps keeping our churches alive.
Precisely, yes. And it is, and that's the right word to use.
Yeah.
It is more vivacious. This is the first time we're able to have the cultural day, which the sisters were able to help us with, and it certainly brought people to life on that day.
And Sister, would you be able to tell us a little bit? It's interesting to know what a typical day would be like for you, for the sisters, or is there no typical day? Presumably you have a structure of prayer life, but then you also have this mission. How do you balance the two?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's where the sacrifice of religious life comes in. You can imagine you being out there working all day to come back and join the evening prayer, and instead of going to bed and lying and resting. And religious life is a life of sacrifice. And when you understand it in that context, you long to be in that communal relationship with the sisters in the community. By that I mean you would like to join the community prayer, community activities, community sharing, everything that is being done in common, you would like to be part of it. The social aspect of it, because sisters dance, they have their recreational moments where they, play and have all sorts of things. Still, go back to your work. And that's why we are active, but contemplative, because we have hours of adoration every day, 5 days in a week. And then you have other days of community faith sharing. You have your individual an hour adoration with the Lord. That's your private an hour of the Lord every day. And you have your 30-minute scriptural reading every day. This is private. And you join also communal. So when you calculate the hours religious puts every day, you find out that you've got little hours to rest. And that's where the sacrifice comes in. And you can imagine, people have lived in it, saints lived this kind of life. They are happy and they are saints today. So why not me? Why not every other person? So it's a promise in life. Because the activities within the religious life, whether contemplative or fully active, blend together the holiness we all are, striking for.
And how would a young lady get in touch with the community if she wanted to come and visit you, or perhaps even could she stay to discern a day, a week, a month, a year? How would it work? Do you have vocations? Are you accepting vocations?
Yes, we do. At the moment, we do, of course. We have 3 formation centers, one in Nigeria, one in Kenya, one in Ghana. Of course, we have a regional house here, which is part of our formation as well. People who wants to get in contact with us, are free to call us, and then we'll give them direction on how to start the process.
Can they find it online?
We also have social network,
Immaculate Heart of Mary,
Mother of Christ.
Mother of Christ.
So we have websites. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on LinkedIn. We're on all the social, social networks. We are there. So if you wish to, if you feel you're attracted to the life we live, go online. You get as much information as you want, and then take the step forward, because for me it's a promise in life. So that would advise any young boy, any young girl or lady who wants to thinks that is being called to this life to give it a go.
Yes, because sometimes you can't know until you give it a go, and then you're free to choose.
Yeah, it's up to you. We do have what we call aspirancy, where they stay for 2 weeks, to discern the first stage. After 2 weeks, they will go back, come back again for 3 months. That's all process of discernment. Then after 3 months, if they feel that they want to give it a go, then they'll be received into postulancy. And then after 2 years, with a year apostolic experience, where they go to the parish, the convent, and work in the parish to work with the people. And if they feel that they still want to move on, and the congregation also, after reviewing, their experience, feel that they are candidates for religious life, they move forward to novitiate, where they spend another 2 years with 3 months apostolic experience again in the parish with the people. No postulants or novice works in a hospital at this stage. They all concentrate on the pastoral ministry in the church. So that's where you do your 1 year and 3 months experience within your 5 years or 6 years formation, just to give you that feel, being in touch with people, learning this compassion, which is the big chunk of our foundation, to learn how to be compassionate in the spirit of humility. Sometimes you may be compassionate, but to bring humanity into it becomes a big problem. And some candidates, get inspired because, yes, they have this compassion, but they're not humble enough to offer this service. So with all this, you're fully immune. And our father founder said there is no softness in their formation. No softness in their formation. You have to form them, teach them what they should know. tell them what they're supposed to know and not what they want.
May I add to that? With just when you're saying about the humility comes from the Latin word humus, which means to be grounded. And I think people think that when you become a religious sister or a priest, that you give up your life. You don't. You actually find your life, and you become more grounded, and you become more directed towards who you are meant to be.
And Sister, what formation is on offer? You have classes?
Yeah, we have classes. We have some. They have people coming to teach psychology, theology, and some parts of philosophy, but in the basic principle, music, liturgy, Mariologist, and other topics they do in the formation, just to keep them abreast with the doctrine of the church, and the traditions of the church. Right now, our congregation is kind of trying to teach Latin and Greek in our formation houses, because our mission is spreading quite fast, so that people will be able to, move into countries without, being so much struggle.
Part of formation is also a communal life, living in a community as well.
Yeah.
It's living with other people,
Yes.
sharing life.
Yes.
It's part of the formation.
The Latin and the Greek is to help them learn another language more easily, so that whichever the country they go to. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's also, again, because the church, Latin is attached to the church's tradition.
Yes.
So, it's a common language, just like in Islam, there's a language in the Quran. So it's common, so for them to fit in, to be attuned with the church's tradition.
Okay.
In our own age, we didn't do it through my formation, but now our congregation has, put that as part of a program in the formation.
But is the main language of the congregation English?
Yes,
Okay.
English.
And Sister, I wanted to ask, with all the missions you have throughout the world, how do you fund your work?
Well, generally, we have projects. We have hospitals where we, from the sisters' work and ancillary. Of course, we have a common purse where all the salaries are put into one pool, and from there, people, they are being, maintained, just like what's happened in the Corinthians. They bring everything together and shared. There are some who are not working at all. Some are elderly, they can't work anymore, but they are being maintained because everything comes from the same pool. We share the common life. What you have, we share with others. So in terms of funding our congregational mission, it's not easy actually for us as a congregation to fund our mission because of the high demands of people. More people are getting into homelessness. There are more vulnerable people in Africa where disability is a taboo.
Disability
is a taboo. They're thrown in the street, and sisters pick them. We have disability centers now where we look after disabled people. The teenage pregnancy is a taboo in Africa, and we have centers where we look at orphanages, and the congregation really struggles because that is the heart of our foundation. So, and that's why we got involved into the philanthropic development movement office to help us to attract international funders to sustain our mission all over the world. And the consultancy that's taken us through have been experienced for 10 years in helping religious organizations and dioceses in order to get international funds through philanthropists all over the world to sustain our mission. So again, at the moment, we're involved in a fundraising mission appeal, which is the Bishops' Conference of England and Wales charity, which they use to support religious congregation in England and Wales overseas. So we go to parishes and then talk about mission and raise funds to support our missions as well.
Okay. So again, we could also go to your website and find a place to donate.
Information, we have place to donate, and we've got people who sign in to support us on a long-term basis. Just like the other day, one guy took to give 10 scholarship to 10 children in Nigeria. So that kind of thing, people want to go to our website and find the information. They call us and say, we want to be part of your fundraising program. And we are hoping to, get more funders being involved in philanthropy development, initiative to get more people attracted to help us sustain our mission, because there's quite high demand.
We have the rededication of England coming up as the Dowry of Mary. What is Walsingham for England and in your own personal lives?
Well, we mentioned hope before. If we think about what actually took place at Walsingham in its destruction, and how we're rededicating England to Our Lady. So out of this destruction, there is still life that continues, and this life is something that I think enters all of us. As part of my own journey into the faith, it was to come back to Walsingham, to come on pilgrimage here with other people who have been on pilgrimage many times. I hadn't, so it's one of my first pilgrimages to come to Walsingham. And one of the things that I've been doing since I've become a priest is almost every year to be coming back to Walsingham, not by myself, but with other people. And so I'm bringing other people to Walsingham as well. So I see those as signs of hope as well.
Well, the first time I came to Walsingham, I was like, it was a great experience for me, especially in the center where the diary is, where the whole thing happened. And since then, I found Walsingham really a place of peace. And with my experience moving to parishes during the mission appeal, I've had priests shared with me, some of them, they got their vocation, through, coming to Walsingham and pilgrimage. And the way the people of England, it's a special place for people. And I've never seen anybody who would be here who never had an story to tell. So personally, I found this as a place of peace. That was my experience, and I believe that's still my experience at the moment, that place is a place of peace.
Thank you, both of you, for your mission, your work that really does bring hope to our church. Thank you for watching. Until next time, God bless you.